Hello everybody, I'm going to show you how to operate this program called Critterding, which is a artificial life simulator. It operates on the principles of evolution, which is random mutation and natural selection. When you start up the program, 10 critters will randomly be generated. That means they have a random number of blocks between 1 and 6, and they will be connected at a random place. As you can see, these are pretty freaking random. This red thing right here is the sensor. The sensor can see, eat, and reproduce. These green blocks are food, and the food has a certain amount of energy to it, or the energy that these organisms will pick up. And you can see on critter 12 right here, it starts with a certain amount of energy at the beginning, which is 3,000 I believe, and it slowly dwindles until it gets to 0, in which case this creature dies. If this creature dies and there's less than 20, another one will be randomly generated. And that setting you can adjust by clicking settings, and at the top, minimum critters. It starts out at 10, but I leave it at 20 just because it gives a jump start to the process, because a lot of the critters that are going to be generated will not work. They will die. As you can see, most of these are not moving at all. That means the random generation of blocks, sizes of blocks, and where they connect and how they can move does not work for them. That means basically it doesn't enable them to find food, so they will run out of energy and they will die. When they get to a certain amount of energy, they will have enough to reproduce. They will split like a cell and divide. When they do, they have a certain chance, a 10% chance of having a brain or body mutation. And that mutation can either mean body-wise that they will add an extra block, a block will go away, a block will get bigger or smaller, and it'll change how that block can move with the other blocks it's attached to. And you can see this critter right here, just mutated. Now there are a few settings you can do in this program. I don't touch most of these settings. There's a lot of them, but the beauty of this program, not the beauty of this program really, but rather the point of this program is for the artificial selection or evolution of these simulated organisms. So you don't really want to touch a lot of these settings. What I do end up touching on though is when I click graph down the bottom left, this graph shows me food in green and population in red. The critters will evolve to a point where they can easily find food, and there's a setting in settings that allows you to adjust the number of food blocks or energy. Right here it's 400, and the amount of energy each food block contains. When you notice your population rises very quickly and then cuts off because it kills half the critters at 120, it's time to adjust a few settings to kind of create a punctuated equilibrium within the organisms to make them evolve quicker. And what I do with that is I click settings, and I will usually end up limiting the food supply, limiting the number of blocks, and limiting the energy that the blocks contain. And after a while, what you'll get is an ecosystem, so to speak. One creature will dominate over all the others, in that they are more successful, they gather more of the food, and you will literally see them evolving through the same means that evolution does through natural selection, because they will have a mutation that might be beneficial to them, and that one will gather food more quickly, procreate more quickly, and proliferate, whereas the other ones don't as quickly as it does. And if one has, say, a negative mutation, that one will not be as successful as the other ones and will lose competitively to the others, which will then also proliferate. You have many settings in here. These things also have brains, I should say. If you click these right here, it's selected down on the bottom in the middle of the screen. That's what that sensor sees. If you click that sensor, you get information, detailed information about that critter. You get its atom distance. That's very important. What that means is that's the distance from the first one, its parent on the evolutionary tree. So when it has an atom distance of 1, that is 1 mutation away from the first one that was put down. 2 mutations, etc., etc. Then you can click the species button down the bottom left, and it will show you the amount of species you have of each of these simulated organisms and the population of each. Eventually, the atom distance will grow, as the ones with the most beneficial mutations will outcompete the ones with not as good mutations. So that's the program. It's something that you kind of want to tweak a little bit, but only what you'd see naturally. That is what I do. The only thing I really do is I tweak the amount of food available, the food blocks, and the amount of energy that is in the food. But it's important to only do that very short intervals, because too much of a change in the environment, just with these simulated organisms and in any other organism in the natural environment, the organisms will not be able to adapt and they will die. So you can drive the evolution, but of course only to a certain degree, and that's where it takes a little bit of finesse. But if you run this for a week or 2 weeks, or even a day or two, you will see these organisms evolve in a simulated environment the same way you do in a biological world. And that's what I find really interesting. Thanks for watching.